everybody, welcome to Pack 1 Pick 1, number 208 on the Mana Leek. I'm John as always, and we have ourselves a pack of Throne of Eldraine. If you happen to be new to these videos, welcome. We don't just open this pack and say, oh, look what I got. We open this pack and we talk about what we would pick, Pack 1 Pick 1, if this was a draft. So there's some strategy going on here. Now, before we do open this up, I need to remind everybody that every week, over at patreon.com/themanaleek, I randomly pick somebody from the $5 level or above to get all the cards out of this pack. Or none of the cards, some of the cards. Some people just want the rare, some just want the token, some don't want it at all. But if you are a patron over there, you get your chance to get all these cards. If you want another chance to win all the cards, make sure you check out twitch.tv/themanaleek on November 2nd, where I'll be doing my 24-hour fourth annual Extra Life charity stream, giving away a ton of prizes, including Throne of Eldraine packs, Throne of Eldraine collector pack, and some other spicy stuff. But let's crack this open, and this week, this pack is going to Stardust KL. Up first, we have ourselves Merchant of the Veil. Merchant of the Veil is 2 in a red for a 2/3. Pay 2 in a red, discard a card, and then you get to draw a card. You get to rummage. And on the adventure side, for a single red mana, you can haggle at instant speed to instant speed rummage. Merchant's just a solid card. I'm very happy with this card in most red decks. It just does everything you want to do, and the fact that it doesn't tap is great. I'd feel pretty bad first picking it. Up next is Youthful Knight. Youthful Knight is 1 and a white for a creature, human knight, and it's a 2/1, and it's got first strike. It's a solid white beater. This is good. I love 2/1s with first strike for 2 mana. That's a huge upgrade to a piker. If you're playing white and you're in any way aggressive on the ground, you're going to be pretty happy with Youthful Knights, plural. Maybe not a blue-white artifact stack, but otherwise you're pretty happy to have a Youthful Knight. But again, first pick, nuh-uh. Up next is my preview card, Opt. Opt is a single blue mana for an instant, scry 1, draw 1. It's Opt. It's probably the best it's ever been in this set because of the blue-red draw 2 cards a turn deck, or just because you need to fix your mana a little bit more in this format. And since we don't have dual lands and stuff to fix it, drawing cards is a way to fix it. Opt is fine. It's the worst card that we've opened so far, and definitely not a first pick. Up next is Lash of Thorns. Lash of Thorns is a single black mana for an instant. Target creature gets +2/+1 and gains Death Touch until end of turn. It's a combat trick. It's not a good one. Yeah, it'll probably trade with what you want, but I'm iffy about actual removal that only works in combat. I'm way more iffy about actual removal that also functions like a fight spell where you have to have a creature that can put in the way. It's fine. I don't not play the card, but I don't try to, and it's not a first pick. Up next is Sporecap Spider. Sporecap Spider is 2 and a green for a creature spider with reach. It's a 1/5. It's a good blocker. It's a heck of a good blocker. If you're weak to flyers, well, this will stop you from being weak to flyers. It can typically be started in the main deck. I don't hate doing that. 3 mana is not a huge ask there, and it's just going to block, and it'll block on the ground too. But out of the sideboard can even be better. So Sporecap Spider, not a first pick. Happy to have one though. Well, here we go. We got our first pick here with Trapped in the Tower. Trapped in the Tower is 1 and a white for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature without flying. Enchanted creature cannot attack or block or activate its abilities. Activate its activated abilities. Yeah, this is removal. This is pacifism. It doesn't hit flyers, and so yes, it's worse than pacifism usually is, but being a rest, it turns off abilities, is pretty decent. This is the current first pick in the pack. I'd be happy with it. We'll see if we have another choice, though. Golden Egg. Golden Egg is 2 generic mana for an artifact food. When Golden Egg enters the battlefield, draw a card. Pay 1, tap it, and sack it to add 1 mana of any color. Pay 2, tap and sack it to gain 3 life, because it's food, of course. Golden Egg. Surprisingly good. Surprisingly good. It's maybe the current second pick out of this pack. And that's not saying this pack is bad. This pack's been middle of the road so far, but Golden Egg is just shockingly good. It's colorless, which means it's 1 more card to help you towards monocolored. It fixes your mana, which means that it helps you for that color that you're sort of splashing in your mono-ish color deck. It draws a card, it replaces itself. It's an artifact for the deck that cares about that. It's a shockingly good card. Yeah, don't not play this card. You should be picking and playing this card pretty highly. That said, it's not going over Trapped in the Tower. Up next is Idyllic Grange. Idyllic Grange is land plains. It taps for white because it's a plains, and of course it enters tapped unless you have 3 other plains on the battlefield already. But if it does enter untapped, you get yourself a +1/+1 counter. I have really disliked these lands in practice. This is probably the 3rd best one after the black and blue, but I don't really try to play this. You need to be mono white. You need to be 11 plains in your deck or something like that before you want to be playing these cards. I'm not a huge fan of them. I've seen people playing Witch's Cottage way more often than I think you should. Yeah, be careful playing these. I pick them super duper late. It's specific decks where you should play them. You need to cut these regularly, and it's not a first pick, so out of the frame you go. Up next is our last common, Garen Brig Paladin. Garen Brig Paladin is 4 and a green for a creature Giant tonight. Giant is relevant if you happen to get board wiped by Realm Cloak Giant. It's a 4/4, but it's got Adamant because if you pay 3 green into this, you get to put a +1/+1 counter on it. There's also another ability here that I always forget. It can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. It can't be just chumped. It has to be blocked by a quote-unquote real creature. Garen Brig Paladin's great. If you can Adamant this and make it a 5/5, it is going to be an insane beater. And even if you can't, it's not awful. I have cut these in decks where green was not my predominant color because they do tend to go down a good solid step if you're not adamanting, but they're still fine filler. But if you are adamanting, this card is fantastic and a pretty high pick. Not a first pick though. Our final common, yes, we have 10, so no foils. Our final common is Eye Collector, a single black mana for a creature fairy. It's a 1/1 with flying, and when it deals combat damage to a player, each player puts the top card of their library into their graveyard. Not good. I don't like this in any deck. The mill deck has so many better options than this. This should instead, ideally, be a Merfolk Secret Keeper or a Didn't Say Please, or more likely, because you're obviously playing all of those anyways, this should just be a control spell. This should just be a Charm Sleep. This should just be a So Tiny. This should just be a bounce spell. It'll do way more for you than milling once if it hits an opponent. It's not good. It's not good. It's not good. Don't play this card. Our first uncommon is Sorcerer's Broom. Sorcerer's Broom is 2 generic mana for an artifact creature spirit. It's a 2/1. Whenever you sacrifice another permanent, you can pay 3 mana. If you do, copy Sorcerer's Broom. I'm not a fan of this. I heard Lords of Limited talk about it being amazing, and I don't buy it. I don't believe it at all. Obviously, you want to be in like the food deck or something where you're sacrificing stuff hopefully for relatively cheap, and I don't get the payoff. The payoff is you have another 2/1. Maybe you have 2 more 2/1s, or maybe we get there. Maybe we have 3 2/1, 4 2/1s on the battlefield. I don't get it. I don't in any way see how Sorcerer's Broom would work and be good. I played against one person who had a couple and tried to do stuff with it, and I beat them because they had a board state that was 4 2/1s, and it didn't matter. Yeah, I don't like this card. I'm not first picking it. I'm not playing it right now. Keep an eye on it, but I'm not playing it right now. Second uncommon is Archon of Absolution. Archon of Absolution is 3 and a white for a creature Archon. It's a 3/2 with flying. It's got protection from white, which is a quote-unquote downside. I have got from this. I wanted to put a combat trick on it, and I couldn't because it was a white combat trick. But in reality, it's just an upside because you're playing against a white opponent, and, well, you got one of the best creatures you can have against them. And more than that, creatures can't attack you or planeswalkers you control unless your opponent pays 1 for each of those creatures. This card is just great. It's a strong pick. I'd consider it first picking it over Trapped in the Tower, I think. I don't know exactly what the pick is, but it's going to sit in frame. This card's just nutty, and the fact that this is part of, and I didn't even realize this is part of the, the red cap melee, the mystical, whatever it is, the blue counter spell where it's cheaper if you're against blue. This is in that cycle, except this is just like a massive upside and not really much of a downside unlike the others. So yeah, very happy with this card. It can stay in frame. Our final uncommon is red cap melee, which I was just talking about. A single red mana for an instant, deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker at instant speed. But if it's not red, you have to sacrifice a land. If you're sacrificing a land, this can be a pretty bad tempo play. This can hurt you quite a bit, which means this isn't a 1-drop. This is actually more like a 5-drop, a 6-drop, a 7-drop, which is still fine. We play 5 mana, deal 5. Well, 5 mana, deal 4 isn't that much worse. But if you do end up against one of those red opponents, the fact that this is just a single red mana for better than a bolt to a creature is fantastic. Red Cap Melee, very good card. I'd consider first picking it as well in many packs, but you might have to think about siding it out if you find that you're not up against a red player and it's just not doing enough. So we can keep that in frame as well as we take a look at our rare, and our rare kind of throws everything else away. Goodbye. Our rare is Wicked Wolf. We also have a food token. Wicked Wolf is 2 green for a creature wolf at rare. It's a 3/3. When it ETBs, it fights target creature you don't control. You can sacrifice a food to put a +1/+1 counter on it, give it indestructible, and tap it, which of course is regeneration, but written differently. Wicked Wolf is just a bomb. It's just fantastic. A 3/3 for 4 that fights on ETB is totally solid. Obviously, it's only going to eat a smallish thing if you can't grow it. But if you can grow this, it's just going to get nutty. And then the fact that you can grow it later in the game is just fantastic. The tapping it is probably just because they wanted to say, get it. It's like regeneration. But it works so much better in combat. You tap and attack with it, and then you sack the food, and then it doesn't matter that it taps. Or you block with it, and then you sack the food, and it doesn't matter that it taps it. The tapping it never really matters that much. This card's just fantastic. It's a snap first pick here. So I think that's pretty easy. Pack one, pick one for this one. If that was not there, I think I'd probably be taking... Oh, woof. I think I'd be taking the Archon of Absolution based on how my experiences with the format have gone so far. These are both decent removal spells, but they both have their downsides, whereas the Archon has little to zero downside. So I think I'm on the Archon. I can absolutely see an argument for either of the other ones, but we are taking, of course, the Wicked Wolf. So that's going to wrap it up for today. Let me know what you have taken down below. Let me know how Throne of Eldraine is going for you. This is vying for best format of all time so far. Quite possible. On Arena, surprise, I hear it is an absolute hellscape and one of the worst formats. But elsewhere, this is definitely in the running for one of the best formats of all time. So let me know in the comments down below if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions. You can always find me over on Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook. You can find me at patreon.com/manaleak, where if you become a backer at the $5 level or above, you get your chance to get all these cards like Stardust KL did today. And if you want to go over to Inked Gaming, get a playmat, maybe like this playmat here that I need to replace desperately. I've been saying that for a long time. You can use the promo code MANALEAK10, all one word, 10 is the number, to get 10% off your order and help the channel. And of course, the easiest way to help the channel out is to click like, click share. I don't know if there's a share button. There's a share button. And also subscribe if you haven't already. If you do have any questions, comments, or suggestions, though, let me know. Otherwise, see y'all next time.